Hello! Today I'd like to talk more about the gameplay in Neverending Nightmares. So, if you've played the demo, there's not a ton of the traditional gameplay. It's sort of more along the lines of an adventure game or like Journey. It's mostly about the exploration. And we sort of prototyped this first and didn't build any combat or stealth or any sort of more traditional gameplay systems on top of it, because that to us is the core experience. But I think we're not going to leave it there. Well, I know we're not going to leave it there because I don't think that's enough. I think we need to build more interaction on top of this. And so one of the main things that I'd like to do is some element of stealth. So, I don't really like stealth games. Yeah, basically, stealth games are not my thing. Except, I guess, Sly Cooper, but it's more of a platformer and very, very light stealth elements. And the thing I don't like about stealth games, well, is the waiting. I'm kind of impatient, but also the penalty for failure is usually very severe. A lot of stealth games, it's pass fail. You know, you alert the enemy and then the enemy kills you. And so, I mean, I'm a bad gamer, and certainly I've talked about, I think being a bad gamer helps me develop games, because you're playing a game for a month, a year, whatever, however long, you're going to get pretty good at it. And so starting as a crappy gamer, I think, helps you be a good game designer. I think too often game designers are like super game pros, and then they make really hard games where they don't see the unforgiving elements of their own game. So, but anyway, so stealth games aren't really my thing, but I think in the context of a horror game, it works really well. Like, certainly I think Amnesia did a really good job with this. And also, like, Deadly Premonition. I love Deadly Premonition. Certainly, it's not a game for everyone. It's amazing how they could do some aspects of the game so well, and then, you know, technically, artistically, there's so much just terribleness in the game. But they had interesting segments where you essentially hide from the villain, and they weren't hard at all. You basically just picked a hiding location, and then you had to hold your breath at a certain point when the enemy was looking your way. But I think they were pretty effective in terms of building up the tension. So I think obviously, you know, we have to experiment with it, but I like that idea of hiding from monsters, because to me, I think about a good horror game, it's all about the vulnerability. If you had a super automatic weapon with infinite bullets, I don't think you could really do a horror game. I mean, you look at something like House of the Dead, and I love House of the Dead. I'm the biggest House of the Dead fan in the world, but I don't think it's a horror game. I don't think anyone can really make the case that it's a horror game. I mean, it's a shooter, and, you know, I mean, I guess it's sort of like the cheesy B horror movie version, and certainly that's something they embraced and owned in Overkill, and I love that. I love B horror movies, but it's not horror. But my point is just that, you know, even in the, like, Resident Evil 6 and the later Resident Evils, when you're super overpowered, there's not that tension, there's not that vulnerability. I mean, like, you look at Resident Evil 1, it's brutally difficult, which, again, is totally not my thing. It's very difficult, much more so than I like. But it's definitely that ramps up the tension. So definitely I like the idea of not really confronting monsters, hiding from them. I think hiding from them is a great idea, because, you know, hiding reflects that you're already scared of something, right? I mean, that you never say, I mean, I guess, like, if you're peekabooing some infant. I mean, that's the only time you hide, when you're not really scared. Surprise birthday party, I guess. But, I mean, you get what I'm saying. So yeah, I think hiding and fleeing. I think Lone Survivor had some interesting segments where essentially you just have to run away from the enemy. So definitely those are sort of, on the roadmap of things we want to try, things we want to explore, and other gameplay elements.